I just got out of the theaters witnessing Disney's The Little Mermaid on the big screen at an early access screening, and I have some things that I want to talk about for this film, guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the review. Let's go. What's going on, guys? The Demigod back on Demigod ENT, bringing you another movie review for The Little Mermaid, Disney's newest live-action retake on one of their animated classics from the past, which they've been consistently putting out throughout the years, some good, some bad. How did this one do? Well, let's talk about it. So, The Little Mermaid stars Halle Bailey as Ariel the mermaid, the daughter of the king of the seven seas, who has been forbidden from the human world, forbidden from going up to the surface and interacting with the humans up there. And due to her curiosity, she ends up coming into contact with a human being that she ends up falling in love with. But because they come from different worlds, her desperation ends up leading her to Ursula, an evil sea witch that she ends up making a deal with the devil, as you can call it, where she could become human for 3 days and express her love to her human companion. However, considering she's dealing with a witch, this of course comes with a twist. That twist being that she'll lose the power of her voice, which of course is one of her main powers, being a mermaid, which also ties into Greek mythology about Siren, which they played with a lot inside of this movie, and I really appreciated that as a Greek mythology fan. And I gotta say, this movie did a fantastic job when it came at displaying the underwater environment, what their life is like underwater, how fantastical, how whimsical, and how fun this could be as you adventure under the sea with Ariel and with her friends and family along the way inside of this movie. Now, I actually really enjoyed the first act of this film. When this film opened, I was pleasantly surprised as to how well this movie was going. I walked in here with not the highest expectations, in fact no expectations at all, just wanting to see what Disney would come with this time around. And I gotta say, man, I really love the underwater stuff. I think they did a fantastic job at it, which I'm glad to be able to say that, because that is of course the main part of our movie. Now, everything was going great up until she makes the deal with Ursula and ends up becoming a human and going to the surface, which then leads us into our second act in this film, where she spends the whole middle part of this movie up on land, just having a fish out of water experience, no pun intended. And it's when we get to this second act that the movie seems to take a huge halt. It seems to take a huge drop in budget, and it reminded me of something that you'd see premiere on Disney Plus on their streaming service. Now, I found the second act in the middle part of the movie to be quite boring inside of this film. When she goes to the human world, it loses all the magic and imagination that comes with the movie. And I know it's a part of the story, but I really wish they would have kept this part a little bit shorter, because that's another problem I had inside of here. The runtime with this film, especially during this part, you really start to feel it and notice that this is over a 2-hour movie. And I think they could have cut that down a little there. We could have got a little less of that, made it more condensed, and it would have made for a more enjoyable viewing experience. However, when we get to the third act of this film, when we get back into the water and start dealing more with our antagonist Ursula, the villain inside of this movie, this film jumps right back into the swing of things, and things become a lot more fun once again. Now, I gotta say though, I forgot to mention that Ursula is played by Melissa McCarthy, who does a fantastic job inside of this movie. She is one of the best parts of this movie, going hand in hand with Halle Bailey, and I gotta say they both brought so much to this film. They're definitely both the highlights in this movie, which I'm glad to say because they're both the leads in this film. Her performance as Ursula is intimidating and scary, and by the third act of this film, you understand the true problem that Ursula is, and I really enjoyed seeing that inside of here. It put me back into a good mood and just made me wish that, again, that second part of the film was condensed a bit so we can get back to what's interesting here. But with that being said, I think this is an overall good movie out of Disney, with some flaws of course, and this also serves as a bit of a musical, as we have a lot of musical acts within inside this film, some being really good, especially the ones from Halle Bailey. Once again, some others being not so good, and I felt like we could have done without, or they could have at least been performed to a higher level. And with that being said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the official rating for this film. I'm gonna go ahead and give The Little Mermaid a 7 out of 10. It gets the 7 out of 10. Again, first act started out really strong. Third act ended really strong. Appreciated both of those parts of this movie. However, when we get to that second act, it really bogs this movie down a bit. You really start to feel the runtime inside of here. The movie loses its whimsical nature in the middle of this film, and I think it could have done without a lot of those scenes. Now, should you go out and see this movie in theaters, I recommend you go and watch this as a matinee. However, if you're a huge Disney fan, you can just go see this at a full price. But if you're already on the line about going to see this, again, watch it at a lower price, or just wait till it's on Disney Plus, because it'll definitely be streaming there later this year. Now, with that being said, guys, those are my thoughts on this film. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you don't know why you're here on Demigod to do commentaries, reactions, or reviews, if you're seeing that in the right place, man, hit subscribe, hit the like button. I drop multiple videos a week on the channel, so you can expect out of me. And if you don't already know, I am the Demigod, the chosen one, here on Demigod ENT, and I'm out of this thing, man. I'll catch you on the next movie review. Peace.